Come to think of it, laziness is a universal trait. To some degree, we all experience it, and honestly, that's perfectly natural. The problem arises when these lazy moments lead us to overindulge in habits that don't serve us well. When motivation strikes, it's surprisingly easy to tackle challenging tasks, even ones we typically avoid. But when we're drained, whether by stress, exhaustion, or a long day, the enthusiasm to put in any effort vanishes. It's during these moments that we default to what feels easiest and most convenient. Unfortunately, this often means giving in to our less productive or even harmful habits. In the world of technology, default refers to the preset way something operates, like the default ringtone or wallpaper on a new phone. Unless you actively change these settings, you're stuck with them. Our habits work much the same way. Over time, we develop standard behaviors that we repeat on autopilot, becoming our personal defaults. These habits might be positive, like reading or learning new skills, or they might be detrimental, like excessive social media scrolling or smoking. The key is not to blindly accept every habit as unchangeable, but to critically evaluate the ones that hinder us. Just as you can customize your phone settings, you can also adjust your default behaviors. And here's the exciting part. You can actually leverage your natural laziness to do so. This is where the concept of the 20-second rule comes into play. In his book, The Happiness Advantage, Shawn Achor shares a personal struggle with changing his habits. Shawn had a clear goal. He wanted to spend less time watching TV and more time practicing the guitar. Yet, despite his good intentions, he found it nearly impossible to break free from his default routine. His guitar sat neglected in the closet, while the TV claimed his evenings without fail. Shawn quickly realized that willpower alone wasn't enough. He needed to disrupt his existing patterns. After reflecting on the problem, he identified the barriers holding him back. Every time he wanted to play the guitar, he had to dig it out of its case, which took about 20 seconds. This seemingly small effort was enough to deter him. Now you might be saying that is exactly what happens to me. To solve this, Shawn moved his guitar out of the closet and placed it on a stand in his living room. Now playing the guitar required no extra steps. It was right there, ready to go. As a result, he found himself picking it up more often and enjoying practice sessions without resistance. He used a similar strategy to reduce his TV habit. This time, he removed the batteries from the remote and stored them in a drawer in another room. The next time he instinctively reached for the remote, he was met with a surprise. No power. The effort of retrieving the batteries was enough to dissuade him from turning on the TV, and instead, he chose to play his guitar, which was conveniently within reach. This simple yet effective approach became what Shawn called the 20-second rule. The principle is straightforward. Make desirable habits easier to start by reducing the effort required, and make undesirable habits harder by increasing the barriers to them. Of course, the 20 seconds is not a fixed rule. Sometimes, you may need more or less time to create the desired effect. The real takeaway is to manipulate the effort required, less for positive habits and more for negative ones. By doing this, you're effectively working with your natural tendencies rather than against them. The power of small adjustments. It's fascinating, isn't it? A mere 3-minute task can sometimes feel like an insurmountable hurdle, even when it's something that ultimately brings us joy and peace. This is where the true brilliance of the 20-second rule shines. The idea isn't just about making a task easier. It's about removing any mental friction that discourages action. Instead of allowing that tiny inconvenience to derail my cycling routine, I decided to take proactive measures. I moved my bike closer to the entrance, significantly reducing the effort required to get started. The result? I found myself riding more often and feeling the benefits almost immediately. This principle isn't just about physical actions, it's a mindset shift. By adjusting your surroundings and routines, you can set yourself up for success. It's like reshaping your environment to work with you instead of against you. Small tweaks, big results. The truth is, most of us underestimate how much our environment influences our behavior. Think about it. Why do we often reach for junk food instead of something healthier? It's not necessarily because junk food tastes better. It's because it's conveniently within reach. Now, imagine replacing those chips with a bowl of fresh fruit. Suddenly, the healthier choice becomes the easiest one. It's the same with any habit you want to build or break. If you want to read more, keep a book on your desk or bedside table. If you want to drink more water, place a water bottle where you'll see it often. By reducing even the smallest barriers to the habits you desire, you're essentially stacking the odds in your favor. Why activation energy matters. This concept of activation energy goes beyond just habits. it applies to how we approach life itself. Every meaningful action requires an initial push, but once you've taken that first step, momentum takes over. The hardest part of a morning run isn't the run itself. It's putting on your running shoes and stepping out the door. By lowering the activation energy for positive behaviors and raising it for negative ones, you create a system where your default choices align with your goals. Over time, these small adjustments lead to massive transformations. The ripple effect of simplicity. What's amazing about the 20-second rule is how its effects ripple into other areas of your life. When you simplify the act of starting a good habit, you're not just improving that one routine. You're building a framework for consistency, discipline, and self-trust. Take my cycling example. Once I made it easier to start, I felt motivated not only to cycle more, but to make other healthy choices. My energy levels rose, I slept better, and even my productivity improved. One small change became the catalyst for a series of positive transformations. The same principle applies to breaking bad habits. Make it harder to indulge in distractions by creating friction. Want to spend less time on social media? Log out of your accounts, so it takes extra effort to log back in. Want to stop snacking late at night? Keep unhealthy snacks out of the house altogether. By adding a little resistance, you can derail harmful habits before they even start. A strategy for life. The beauty of the 20-second rule lies in its simplicity and universality. Whether you're trying to exercise more, eat healthier, read more books, or spend less time scrolling, this principle adapts to fit your goals. It's not about making sweeping changes overnight. It's about removing small barriers today that lead to bigger wins tomorrow. Remember, success is not a grand leap. It's a series of small, deliberate steps. And every time you lower the activation energy for something good or raise it for something bad, you're investing in the version of yourself you want to become. So, ask yourself, what's the one habit you've been meaning to start or stop? Now think about how you can use the 20-second rule to make that change easier. It might seem trivial, but those 20 seconds could be the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. Life is too short to let small inconveniences hold you back. Imagine a world where starting is always easy, where your environment effortlessly nudges you toward the life you dream of living. That world is within your reach. All it takes is a little thought, a few adjustments, and the courage to start. The 20-second rule isn't just a tool. It's a philosophy, a way to design a life that works for you instead of against you. Embrace it, experiment with it, and watch how your habits, your mindset, and your results transform. Because sometimes, the smallest changes yield the biggest rewards. If you reach this far, remember to like the video and comment what you find interesting. Also remember to subscribe for more coming videos. Thanks for watching.